Ron Moshier had a piece in yesterday's Observer-Dispatch that talked about Father's Day and talked about his dad. It was very passionate and very personal, and he announced his retirement. A big night tomorrow night. I don't know what the OD is going to do without Ron, especially when this Mohawk Valley All-Stars is so enormous. And by the way, we'll be continuing after this year. Ron Moshier on the line right now. Good morning, Ron, and congratulations on your retirement.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Thanks a lot. Hey, it's kind of funny. I'm following OJ and the Kardashians. Thanks.
Yeah, I apologize.
Hey, by the way,
that.
My several OJ rookie cards took a hit after that. After that ordeal. So
yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, OJ stuff wasn't worth anything. It was terrible.
No, and that was back in the day too when he was number 32. He was great for the Bills. So
great for the Bills, but he was also, if you remember, he was like the golden child on NBC, doing movies, and it was OJ was just a big deal, and to end up like it's turned out, it's really crazy. Now, I want to say that tomorrow night, of course, is a huge night for local athletes. And for the Observer-Dispatch is your MV All-Stars. What are you? You'll be feeding like 1,000 people tomorrow night at this event.
Yeah, I think it's about 1,200, Bill. And in fact, earlier this morning, I was already working on some of the logistics and everything. It's been, I can just say it's so wildly popular that, unfortunately, we've had to turn quite a few people away. I mean, it's been a sellout for 3 years now, but this one, I think a lot of people who maybe didn't come to see the first one with Jim Kelly or the second one last year with Jim Abbott heard about what they were missing.
Yeah, now everybody wants in. Yeah,
it's the OD's version of the ESPYs. Let's face it.
Right.
And I'll never forget the first day, the first one a couple of years ago when I went for like a walkthrough at around 3:00 in the afternoon. And I walked into the Jorgensen Center and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is this big," and it was, like I said, so wildly popular that we've had, I think, some families buy 10 tickets, and of course, I'm on my way out, but I'm suggesting that next year we're going to have to limit the ticket sales maybe to 2 per student athlete.
Yeah,
and then maybe a week before the banquet, then if there are any left, open it up and, first come, first serve until we're sold out, because this year I didn't foresee this happening, selling out so quickly.
Yeah, well, it's such a huge event. You're always bringing in somebody really big, a national athlete that has a lot to talk about, and certainly you're doing that again this year.
Well, I can tell you, Bill, that I think one of the names for next year that just been brought up is Patrick Ewing. Now, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. He'll be on the list of possibilities. So
wow.
I'm sure that as soon as this ends, I say we, for 3 days anyway, we start, looking ahead to next year's and how we can make it bigger and better.
So we'll get to your retirement in a moment, but I spoke with someone a few minutes ago that wanted me to ask you a question. And this is not going to be easy for you, but I want to throw this at you, and I'd like you to answer the question honestly, because the criteria that you go through to decide the athletes that win is a pretty strict criteria, and it's not an easy process. But I want you to go back to 1975. If the Observer-Dispatch were holding this event, and this was 1975. Do you believe that you would be in basketball, baseball, and football? Do you believe that you would be a recipient? Because I have to tell you, the person I spoke with says you absolutely would be a recipient. You were that good in high school.
Oh my gosh!
Now you got to answer about yourself. What do you think?
Oh my Lord! Wow. Depends on which sport we're talking about. Let's say I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Oh, my. I never expected this question, Bill.
Well, I don't mean to throw a tough one at you, but it's the
tell me it wasn't one of my brothers, was it, or sister? Please.
I will tell you that your younger brother Bob would like to say happy retirement, and truly believes that you would have been, at least in one of those three sports, you would have been a recipient. So you were quite an athlete in the day.
Back then, but like I said in the column, that's back when my basketball shorts were really short, and the baseball bats were really wooden because I broke a few, and in football, I'll never forget. I loved it when my white Richfield Springs jersey got all blood because you didn't have to come out of the game back then. You know, there were. Right. Nobody was yanking you off the field and forcing you to change your uniform. You bring back memories, but some of it's kind of sad because one of the stories I had to write was Richfield Springs dropping football first, and that really hurt. And then this past year or so, when my football coach, Coach Randy Van Cowlenberg, was my football and baseball coach, and what a great guy. And I still have my first baseman's glove that's stamped RSCS on it.
Wow.
And so much has changed back then. From then, Bill, I guess I've rolled with a lot of punches, but some of the changes have gotten to me. And my alma mater now is in Section 4, and enrollment's probably cut in half from what it was in 1975.
Yeah.
No football, and not even in Section 3, not even in the Center State Conference now. But I also have to admit that I wasn't joking when back in the day, Dick White, the late Dick White, was a great basketball coach at Cooperstown. We never even came close to beating them.
Yeah.
Same thing at New York Mills, and Mike Tomasetti, who's a legend. Mm-hmm. He's still around, and he's a super guy. And New York Mills was a powerhouse back then. I mean, he put them on the map, and obviously they've stayed on the map with Mike Adie as coach a few years ago, going back to the Glens Falls to the Final Four all the time. So. Truth be told, our basketball team, I was a captain, and we were very bad. I was 6'1" and a big man back then, So, to be honest, I was sort of a big fish in a little pond, went to Cortland State, and that seemed like a big city to me from Richfield Springs. But, my claim to fame there, Bill, was didn't make the basketball team, but our intramural basketball team won an intramural title, and the only team I made at Cortland State was badminton club. But I have to tell you that wasn't backyard badminton. That was the real thing. Indoors, it's a great game, but I probably haven't played it since 1979. This is my 40th college reunion, and for a change, I'll be able to go to the Cortica Jug, which the Cortland Ithaca game that'll be played in MetLife in Giant Stadium this year. So
wow, really? Wow,
and I haven't been able to go to it in years because of high school football. I was always working that Saturday. So I don't know what you guys do on a Friday and Saturday night. So I got to find out.
Yeah, you're gonna. I don't think it's all that great, but I'm sure you'll like it. You'll enjoy it. So what about some of the stories that you've covered? Obviously, for those that didn't read the story, please go back and read Ron's very emotional piece that is in yesterday's OD about the fact that he is going to retire. Is there what do you look back on and some of the great stories that you're proud to say, boy, I was a part of that story? What do you look back on?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up because I'm writing a column a day, which I never did before. A column a day, looking back on things like that, athletes, coaches I've come across over the 35 years or so.
Yeah.
And believe me, by the end of the week, readers will want me gone. They'll have way too much of me. So I guess that's the way I'm going out with a bang, I guess. But Will Smith, definitely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we've had a lot of great athletes come through here, but I don't think ever one more decorated. He isn't the only one to win a Super Bowl ring from our area, but let's face it, he was a defensive captain for the Saints when they won the Super Bowl. He was a Pro Bowl defensive end. I'll never forget. I'm pretty sure it's the last time I've been to New York City, other than to a Giants game or something.
Yeah.
But going when he got drafted, I think 18th in the first round. I'll never forget it. I was with his grandmother, his great person, his grandmother in the hotel room, waiting for the call, and when he finally got it from the Saints at, I think, number 18 in the first round. So that would be one. Hey, I got to cover the Utica Devils. Obviously, it wasn't as popular as the Comets today, but it was pro hockey, and I don't think I had ever flown on a plane. And here I am going to the Canadian Maritimes with the Devils team, and I remember landing. I think it was in Moncton or New Brunswick or somewhere in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
And I remember they're saying, "Okay, we're about ready to land." And I looked out the window, and it was such a blizzard. I never saw I didn't think I never saw ground there anyway. So I was a bit worried because I had never been in a plane before, and that was like a puddle jumper with props and everything that was shaking. But hey, I got to cover pro hockey. I got to cover pro baseball back in the Utica Blue Sox days.
And those were
certainly
some crazy.
All the high school and college stuff that I've covered over the years.
Yeah.
I'll mention a guy I'm sure you know, Bill. One of my, I'm going to make a list, but I'm not going to rank them. And obviously, I can't mention everybody.
Yeah.
But you remember Jason Gleason. One of the greatest athletes I've ever covered at Adirondack Central. I mean, he wound up being an Olympic wrestler. But what a great football player. I thought he could have played football at Syracuse as well, but he wound up being on the wrestling team there. He's one that jumps out at me. Hey, I got to cover Proctor baseball, winning 2 games in one day. I think it was 2-1 and 3-2. And both pitchers went the distance. And when they didn't pitch, they caught. So, I mean, that'll never happen again. And they beat 2 downstate teams. I want to say like 2 Long Island teams like Massapequa and some other AA power. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. I've covered Jason Simone. What a great baseball hitter, and I'm pretty sure he's the answer to a trivia question. In New York State, he won 2 state titles for 2 different schools, Notre Dame and Proctor, and went on to star at Cortland State and Mount Olive and in Division II. So, I mean, I could rattle off so many. I know I'd bore you, but I'm going to be going through my desk at work and reminiscing, and most memorable moments. There are so many. It's going to be hard, Bill. It's going to be bittersweet. Friday is.
Oh, I can only imagine, and because you've really witnessed and covered so much during it, and also you followed all of this at a time when the world is changing so much for radio and for television, and specifically for newspapers. You were there at a time where the building was packed, and we see this around the country where. It is difficult for traditional media today.
Oh, without a doubt. And, I put in my column, I miss digging ditches, if you know what I mean. I miss being out in the field. Yeah. I miss being hands-on. But nowadays, when you go out in the field, it's not as easy. Not that it was easy and not that it was all fun and games, because there's always deadlines to make. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, you go out, you're not just covering a game. I'm not just going with a clipboard and a scorebook. I'm going with a camera, got to take video, got to keep tweeting highlights. You're multitasking. Yeah. My great, dear, late father, I hope this is all right to say on the radio, would have called it, you're bordering on doing something, excuse me, but half-assed. You know, it's difficult to do all those and do a great job at it. And I don't know. I don't like doing things that way. I would rather, if I'm going to cover a game and do a feature story, that's what I'd rather concentrate on. And nowadays, the younger guys who are taking over for me, James McClendon, Markwell Slaughter, Ben Burnell, they're half my age, maybe younger, and they're used to doing that. I mean, I'm on my cell phone right now, but I don't know if I know how to use my cell phone.
Right. Ron, could you hold on for a second? I got to tweet this out. Hold on, I'll be right back.
We're also updating the website.
I got to tell you, it is throughout. It's radio, it's television, it's newspaper. We're all in the midst of this, where it didn't used to be this way, and now you have to multitask. You have to do more than one, two. You see, for instance, a TV reporter going out and running their own camera. It really is a different world, and back in the day, you'd go out and there'd be a photographer there to take care of that for you, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, in some cases we can still do that, but not always. And, that kind of gets frustrating. I'd rather be able to, well, in my opinion, do it right.
Yeah.
Like we were able to. So I think when I came to the OD, I want to say there were 9 or 10 full-time people in sports. Now we have 3. So,
wow.
I mean, that's just the way it is, and I'm not going to change that. Nobody can change that. We just have to. Again, I use that phrase: roll with the punches. You have to adapt. And I mean, hey, I'm not too old to be able to. I can still do the job.
Yep.
It's just I don't know, not as
not what it used to be.
Not the way I'd like to do it. So
when you leave the OD, you're going to be leaving. You're going to be leaving behind this MV All-Star event that you were there to launch, and that's got to be something that you're extremely proud of.
Very much so, Bill. But I can tell you, there are so many other people who are involved with that. We've already talked about it. It's not an exact science selecting those athletes. It never will be. Couldn't do it without the coaches and athletic directors who help us, because there are many, many student athletes out there that I don't get a chance to see, or none of us get a chance to see in person. But that All-Star banquet, Katie Giacovelli she's like running around a lot more than I am putting it together, and she's been great to work with, and I'm sure with her around, it'll live on forever. But I think what is lost in this, I don't know if you guys remember, we used to have all Mohawk Valley football banquet that Will Smith paid for when he was alive.
Yeah,
obviously, and then that's where this came from, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's where this banquet came from. It went from being an all Mohawk Valley football banquet that Will Smith funded and kept coming back every year for, and would give shirts out to all the players and plaques and everything. It was a great thing. And then suddenly the OD and Gatehouse Media decided, hey, we can do this with every sport. So now, tomorrow night, Bill, we'll have Athlete of the Year in 27 different sports, 9 in each of the seasons: fall, winter, and spring. Wow. And that's not to mention 9 major award winners, including female and male Athlete of the Year. And I can just tell you, the last couple of years have been. It gets emotional up there. I think that's what they use me for. I'm the sappy, old, sentimental one, I guess. Yeah. But the very first one, I'm looking in our hallway right here at home. My wife put this together for me. And I know you probably don't remember the name, but Connor Wilkes, the Down syndrome boy from Little Falls, who I'll never forget up on stage, the senior who's now, I believe, I better get the college right. I think he's wrestling at Brockport. Mm-hmm. Nico Scarano, which is definitely a Little Falls name. Yep. Befriended Connor, and when they came up on stage, they were both in tears. I was in tears. It was, and the whole Jorgensen Center stood up and gave them a standing ovation. It was, and that's what really launched this. Yeah. And last year was Coach of the Year, Devin Clyde, the son of longtime Sequoia coach Tim Clyde, who died of cancer, and it was another emotional moment. So it's a celebration, but I'll tell you, it's going to be emotional again tomorrow night, I'm sure.
Well, listen, congratulations on a great career, and you still have a full week ahead of you, a really full week ahead of you, especially with tomorrow night. And we just want to congratulate you. And I hate to say this, but I don't see you retiring from us. We still will want your opinion on sports topics. So I'm afraid we have your number. As long as we have it, you're going to be stuck with us. So.
Okay, thanks. Hey, I'll have more time, that's for sure.
You will.
Yeah, don't give up.
I might be out. I told my wife, I told Monica I'd be, now I can mow the lawn and wash and wax the cars and everything. And I said, wait a minute, I already do that. The dog likes it because she'll get a lot more walks than 2 or 3 a day. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, congratulations on a great career, and enjoy this week as much as you can.
All right, thanks, guys. I much appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
All right, Ron. Thanks so much.
Ron, congrats.
All right.